the surveillance pit he swore was under audit. The calendar square arrived at 6:07 p.m., tidy as a ledger line. Foundation cocktail, Halcyon Casino, late. 2 minutes later, Ramai texted, "Don't wait up." Compliance asked me to peek at a camera drift in surveillance after the speeches. Proud of me. Read he spends the heart when the rest of the sentence is applying for diplomatic immunity. I turned the sauce to the kind of simmer that calls itself maturity and looked across the boulevard at the Halcyon. The casino wears its light like perfume, aggressive, persuasive, eager to be remembered by your jacket tomorrow. The square on my phone pulsed once and then behaved. I rinsed an already clean spoon because sometimes unnecessary is the only honest verb available. At 6:29, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize and a message that recognized me anyway. If cocktails are in the atrium, why did he just badge the surveillance pit? Service door off Nugget Alley. Reader hates witnesses, cover it and pull. I can hold sweep 2 minutes. Signed with a single letter, S, as if the alphabet had leaned on a bank of monitors and promised not to blink. Sasha runs nights in surveillance with the calm of someone who negotiates with screens more than men. He and Ramai trade competence in a dialect of incident reports and donor moods. He and I have shared 2 cigarettes on a fire escape that pretends to be a balcony. Once we laughed hard enough, a dome camera considered learning humor. We have not touched. I remember not touching more clearly than most men remember vows. "Why tell me?" I wrote. "Because your calendar is polite and my badge logs aren't," he sent back. Because he looked up before he swiped. People only look up there when they want oxygen. Because under audit is keep out, the way champagne is hydration. Nugget Alley is a narrow invention of a street where dumpsters gossip and vents confess. The service door's red eye forgave my palm after a second of sulking. The bar surrendered. Inside, the stairwell breathed cold concrete and money pretending to be weather. A last turn and the room widened into an amphitheater of screens. The pit, the watch, the place where 1,000 angles come to the same conclusion. From above, the surveillance consoles looked like a piano swallowed a starfield. At Station 4, Ramai stood with his jacket off and his shirt open, one button past credible, tie folded into his pocket like a plausible denial. Opposite him leaned Kerr Ainsworth, developer, board vice chair, a roomer with a suite and a habit of thanking cashiers by first name as if currency were intimate. Kerr's 2 fingers rested on the back of Ramai's chair. His other hand hovered near Ramai's wrist without landing, because proximity photographs better than contact when your brand buys honesty and invoices discretion. "Under audit looks affectionate," I said. Ramai turned. For a beat, truth used his face like a mirror before it notices itself. Then the public version arrived, posture and tone in a suit they share on special occasions. "Mateo," he said. How did?" "Sasha prefers nouns," I said. "I prefer doors." Kerr smiled the way a high-limit room smiles. Warm, controlled, expensive. "We were discussing the drift," he said. "Patrons like to believe the eye is faithful." "I prefer faith that doesn't need a lens," I said. Ramai took 1 step toward me and let the pit keep the second. "We were checking calibration after the pulpits," he said. He wanted to hear the fan noise without the floor. "Sound is persuasive," Kerr said, lifting both hands like tasteful parentheses. 2 minutes. The sweep is punctual and so is my car. He drifted along the arc of consoles, pausing at a bank of blackjack tables frozen in careful angles. As he passed, 2 fingers touched Ramai's shoulder, punctuation, not possession. The monitors remembered to breathe. Ramai watched me the way men watch weather when they hope lightning will choose another roof. I was going to text you, he said, lower now, using the register he keeps for mornings and the soft under my jaw. After, I wanted to know I could leave this room without letting it name me. You wanted to be caught, I said, not punished, caught. He let out a breath. The nearest monitor bloomed with the soft gray of an elevator no one wanted to watch. Yes. There is a brightness at which grammar resigns. I stepped into his space and put my mouth on his because glass deserves an honest reflection. He kissed back with the relief of a man who has been paying interest on restraint, compounding nightly under fluorescent skis. He tasted like Gala bourbon and recycled air. My thumb found the hinge of his jaw and pressed. He made the small, involuntary sound I keep receipts for. His palm slid under my shirt and settled flat between my shoulder blades like a promise that refuses notarization. We didn't undress. The pit charges extra and cameras learn quickly. He broke the kiss first because he knows the exact second heat applies for narrative. He rested his forehead against mine. A distant slot jackpot chimed through the vents like a rumor trying to sound official. I didn't kiss him, he said. I wanted to want to. I texted Sasha. You did, I said. He prefers oxygen to salvage. From Station 6, Care tilted his head with the tidy curiosity of a man who assumes screens show him everything he deserves. He didn't come closer. The floor below pretended to keep its secrets. The floor is good at pretending. Come home, Ramai said. After I thanked the person who mutes cameras for a living, I said. Sasha waited by the man-trap with his lanyard looped over 2 fingers and a stillness that convinces machines to behave. He didn't smile. He also didn't make mercy expensive. Sweep hits the pit in 90, he said. If you don't want to explain yourselves to a flashlight that knows your shoes, take the chip vault corridor, ride the linen lift to banquet, exit by the south valet. The valet cam believes every cart is a cart. You sent the message, I said. I opened a door, he said. You two remembered how to walk. The chip vault corridor smelled like felt, metal, and a little fear. The linen lift sighed as if towels deserve better journalism. We exited into a lobby that had put on its night face, reflections behaving, marble remembering its story. We chose the sidewalk over the carpet because carpets write captions. In our kitchen, the sauce forgave me for treating it like character development. We ate standing, like mammals who know where the bowls live. He told me Care had been sculpting a compliment into a proposition for weeks, and he had helped because selection feels like love when usefulness empties your pockets. I told him Sasha had texted because some people choose air over alibi. He didn't ask whether Sasha and I had ever been a worse idea. I didn't say how the blue light of a monitor turns Sasha's mouth into punctuation that finally understands itself. We didn't fight. There wasn't theater left to sell. Later, in bed, we left a sliver of cool like a reservation and then let it surrender because the night had already billed us for restraint. He kissed me with the steadiness I trust more than policy. I put my mouth where his jaw goes humble and told it a morning. It was heat without spectacle. The building minded its radiators. Across the boulevard, Halcyon practiced forgetting names and we encouraged it. Morning behaved. Coffee made its case. Sunlight laid cautious rectangles on our table like a surveillance grid with better intentions. The calendar square for tonight stayed blank, which in this town is the kink we can afford. Ramai tied a tie over a throat I intend to retire with patience and kissed me like the door already knew our names. He left to explain integrity to a breakfast that confuses observation with virtue. At 9:10, a text arrived from a number saved as one letter. No pit cam saw anything but ceiling. I looped a fan diagnostic for 20. Consider it training. I sent, you're very proud of your training. He replied, I'm proud of your exit. No punctuation correct. By noon, a lifestyle blog posted a photo of Care bathed in atrium light with a caption about stewardship and transparency. I scrolled past. It wasn't our room. At 1:22, Ramai texted a picture of our kitchen plant basking in a perfect square of sun. Room exists, he wrote. The week pretended to be a ledger you could trust. Drop counts on time, cage closes verified, meetings with people who say culture like it's a condiment. Care sent a revised pledge with fewer adjectives and more commas. Ramai read to the part where the commas began to behave like a harness and set it face down. He pressed his forehead to my temple for a count of 7, and Air returned to work. 2 nights later, Halcyon hosted A Night Behind the Eye, honest wristbands, real families, kids learning that cameras don't keep promises and dealers do. We went together, because sometimes the correct grammar is plural. Sasha nodded once from the mez like an usher who had already chosen a side. Care shook Ramai's hand while a photographer instructed a wall of screens to glow morally. A reporter asked about legacy. Ramai pointed to a floor supervisor kneeling to show a teenager how to count chips without cheating dignity and said, "Legacy is what keeps rooms gentle." And the reporter wrote it down like she'd earned a truth. On the walk home, we cut through the neon and the pocket graffiti of a city that never learned to whisper. Ramai slid 2 fingers into my back pocket in the way that says not mine but here, and the night did the decent thing and looked away. We burned the garlic bread and ate it anyway. At the bedroom door he kissed me the way good sentences land, without ornament, unavoidable. I answered as if verbs were the last honest currency. It did not stay tidy. It never does here. An anonymous account posted a grainy still of 2 silhouettes reflected in a dark monitor, one hand too near to be polite. The caption invented entanglement, the comments rented outrage and billed per breath. I set my phone face down next to the plant and watched the plant win. Ramai texted a different image. The pit at noon, Sasha coaching a teen intern through camera focus, while a waveform monitor confessed contentment. Our version works for a living, he wrote. Sunday arrived like a comped brunch, too loud and somehow necessary. Sasha texted, "Pit's quiet. Want a stool where nobody sells you a seat?" We went. He poured us paper cups of coffee that tasted like competence and showed us which dome lies first, why you never trust a door that apologizes, and the slight tremor in picture that means a motor is about to tell the truth. He didn't flirt with anything, not even the truth. He stood with his hands in his jacket pockets and told us a joke about rich men who think randomness is a metaphor. I liked him better for refusing to be necessary when he didn't need to be. Midweek, the foundation staged a press moment to announce training grants. Ramai spoke first, about bolts and volunteers and the joy of maintenance, the only speech that ages correctly. Care promised to help the city meet its odds on time, a sentence that managed to spend nothing and still collect applause. After, he shook Ramai's hand and then looked at me with the careful respect of a man evaluating whether he cannot purchase. "You're both very good at exits," he said. "Practice," I said. He laughed because it was the only honest thing left on his card. A columnist with a talent for adjectives implied Ramai's access came courtesy of Private Tour. The piece included a photo of screens that could have been any screens and a paragraph that could have been any rumor. The comments did their choreography. I carried the plant to the sink and let water talk to its roots like a promise we could keep. That night we turned our phones face down and cooked like people who still believe heat tells the truth. On a wet Thursday, Sasha sent a single word, weather, and we met him by the intake where rain negotiated with vents. He showed us which drain floods first, where to stand when lightning auditions near antennas, and how to hear the faint hesitation that means a PTZ will miss its mark without kindness. He didn't ask about the photo. We didn't say his name out loud. 3 people wide beneath the hum, we let the storm remove adjectives we didn't need. Life kept refusing to be purchased. Care kept sending commas that wanted homes. Remai kept returning them with better ones. The plant kept inventing a shade of green that turns vanity domestic. We kept our calendar squares blank on purpose because blanks are the only promises rooms respect. Sometimes, near midnight, we pass Halcyon and look at the dark glass where the pit's glow hides in plain sight. From the sidewalk, you can't see the consoles or the small, decent posture of a man who refuses to sell you a seat. That's as it should be. We circle the block and go home without letting the building perform at us. He takes my wrist like a man reteaching himself the grammar of doors. I think about the surveillance room and the 2 minutes that were enough, about how some rooms try to own you and others teach you to leave correctly. Sometimes I think about care paused in a halo of screens like a man who wants to buy air and discovering it doesn't invoice. Sometimes I think about Sasha's line, "I opened a door," and how it's the only biography I want for this version of us. Tonight's square is empty. We're leaving it that way. Let the casino keep its speeches and the city its applause. We have the valet lane, a plant we refuse to let die, and the quiet grammar of a decision that knows where it belongs. Not in the rumor, not in the photo, but in the mouth that learned to say come home and mean it. If we get caught again, let it be by each other. The rest of the world can rehearse chances. We'll be in the room that doesn't need them, counting breaths until they sound like steady fan noise, and a morning we can afford, and calling that enough.